Welcome, fellow Toastmasters and guests. This meeting of online presenters has now begun. Guests, please note that in order to be a member of our club, you must be a current or a former active member of Toastmasters International and have completed at least 6 official Toastmaster speeches. If you have substantial relevant presentation experience, you may apply for membership after you demonstrate your abilities with a 2 to 3 minute speech during one of our club meetings. Our requests for membership are subject to approval by the members of our club. If you have not already done so, please change your panel to ensure it shows your role and title if you have one this evening or this morning or this afternoon. Just right-click and select Rename in order to do so. Remember, we have members and guests from many countries throughout the world, and thus, as a professional organization, we ask that you please be aware of language and word usage that may be considered offensive or otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note, we are recording the meeting, and your video and audio contribution may be used for club marketing purposes. Also, please mute your microphone when you are not speaking. At this point, please join me in welcoming our club president, Lou Brown.
Thank you, Madam Sergeant at Arms. Welcome everyone to another wonderful week of online presenters. It's so wonderful to see some folks visiting us who I know who have not been with us for a while for various reasons, work commitments and so forth. Dr. Tasha, welcome, nice to see you. And Rosie, and I think, I can't recall if you had been away a little bit too, so very nice to see you as well. And April, I think we missed you for a few weeks perhaps, or I could be mistaken. I've been a little out of it myself lately, so, but wonderful again to see you all with us tonight. And I know we have, boy, a little bit of interesting change up with some of the roles and so forth, and some folks like Graham are going to be, who have thrown together a back pocket speech, so wonderful to see that. I'm going to turn control over right now to our Toastmaster who may be wearing dual hats tonight. I guess we'll see as we go along how that may shake up. Please welcome our Toastmaster of the day, Marianne Grady.
Hi, good evening, everybody. So nice to see everybody. Glad you could be here. Tonight, I'll be your Toastmaster, and I see that we have no visitors in the room, so I'm not going to explain the structure of the meeting to you. But what I do want to tell you about is our word and theme of the day. So the word of the day, it's actually 2 words, work hard, and the theme is work hard, but not too hard. So why did I choose that? I've had a very stressful few weeks because I accepted a job basically to speak a 4-hour business presentation about business continuity. Now, how exciting is that, right? So this is not in my wheelhouse. It's not something I love or am passionate about, but I did accept it because I felt flattered that I didn't even have to submit a proposal. The Society of Human Resources came to me and said, would you do this? And I said, they probably couldn't get anyone else to agree to do this 4-hour presentation, but I said yes. So for many weeks now, I have been working and working and working on things that I do not enjoy. And it really reinforced what I tell everyone to do, work at something you're passionate about. And this was not it. So I have foregone trips to the beach, lunch dates, dinner dates. I have let a lot of things slide because of that. So I was working so hard, I couldn't really enjoy life. And it just was a big reminder to me that I need to be focusing on things that matter to me, that help me grow, that keep my fire lit. And so that's what we're going to talk about a little bit as we go on through the evening. But before we go on, I do want to, actually, we probably don't need to introduce the helpers? Well, you can all introduce yourselves. So Carolina is going to be our timer. Yeah, it's probably a good idea. And oh, Tammy is a guest here. She just walked in, so maybe I do have to explain a few things. Hi, Tammy. So Carolina, can you introduce yourself and tell us what you'll be doing for us tonight?
Sure, today I'll be the timer. I'll be keeping track of time for prepared speeches and for evaluations and for impromptu speakers. When you see the green card, it means that you have 1 minute left if you are a speaker and 30 seconds left if you are an evaluator or an impromptu speaker. When you see the yellow card, you should be aware that your time will be up soon. And if you see the red card, your time is up and you only have 30 seconds to finish your speech or you will be disqualified. Back to you.
Thank you, Carolina. Our next person tonight who's going to be helping us is our counter. It's our newest member, Irvlyn Young. Irvlyn, can you tell us what you're going to be doing for us tonight?
Ladies and gentlemen, if we want to create a positive image of being a powerful and confident speaker, we have to try to avoid all kinds of nonsense syllables like and unnecessary repetitions, such as Marianne, we don't know whether you are here yet, or meaningless expressions such as, you know, I believe that using fillers in a speech is like drawing legs to a snake. And I hope by the end of this meeting, I will report no snakes with legs. Back to Toastmaster.
Well, there's an analogy I've never heard before. Thank you, Irvlyn. Our next person on the list tonight is our grammarian, Marty Sandler. Marty, tell us what you're going to do for us tonight.
Well, the job of grammarian, which I enjoy immensely, is not very well defined. What I will be doing is listening to what everybody says, listening for unusually good, or I hope not, but possibly unusually bad uses of the English language. And we do this in English because English is the language of our club. So I will be listening for good uses, bad uses, and try not to notice ahs, what have you, so I don't step on the counter's toes. Back to you.
Thank you, Marty. Now, the next person who we have on our list is our watcher. And at the last minute, the person who had signed up dropped, but David Carr to the rescue. David, tell us what you're going to be doing for us.
Well, others are listening. I will be watching. So I will be watching for any sort of visual special effects you may throw our way. If you bring a little bit of Hollywood into your presentation, well, that could be good. It could be bad or inappropriate. But also for the special effects that are often most powerful are the use of your face, of your smile, especially for some of you, and whatever little bit of body language you can fit within this square. I'll be watching for all of that, and I'll give a report at the end.
Thank you, kind sir. And now our next person on the list is our chat monitor, and that will be April Elizee.
Thanks, Toastmaster. Today, my role is not really hard. As the chat monitor, it is my job to keep track of the various posts throughout the meeting in the chat. Please try to avoid using the chat during the prepared speeches. When called upon at the end of the meeting, I will give my report. Back to you.
Thank you, Miss April. And our final helper of the evening would be Mr. Lucas Colifal, our vote counter.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. As tonight's vote counter, I will be facilitating our voting for best speaker, best table topics, and best evaluator. Do you have to send votes to me via private chat? The answer is no. Simply click on the link that I provide, cast your vote, and that is all. Back to you.
Thanks, Lucas. Now, as we get ready to begin, I wanted to discuss, for the sake of Tammy, who might not be familiar with our format, is that our meeting is divided into 3 sections. The first is prepared speeches. These people will be working on projects that have certain objectives that they're trying to achieve. The second part is table topics, which that is where we practice our impromptu or off-the-cuff speaking skills. And finally, our evaluation portion, where we get the gift of feedback from our evaluators and all the people that you just heard from. So we are ready to move along, and I would like to introduce our first speaker of the day, Mr. Hector Cabrera Farrier. And he's going to be talking from Motivational Strategies, Level 3, Increasing Knowledge. And I believe Lee Singh will be his evaluator. I just want to be clear since we had some switching around. And his title is My Toastmasters Journey. Speaking was never a problem for Hector. On the contrary, he could stand in front of a crowd of customers and talk for as long as people would listen, or until he was exhausted. Communicating, well, that's a whole different ballgame. Today, he wants to share with us how Toastmasters and his mentor have helped him improve his public speaking skills. Please welcome Hector with his speech, My Toastmasters Journey.
Have you ever faced a challenge that you thought you could not pull off? That is until you had some guidance and support from someone that was a little bit more experienced, maybe someone that had more belief in yourself. Fellow Toastmasters, when I visited my first ever Toastmaster meeting, I was so excited. That was back in November of 2015. I did not know what to expect. And I must say, I was terrified. My boss had told me I really need to improve my speaking skills, especially delivering on time and concise messages. But the truth is, I was at crossroads in my life. I was not happy on what I was doing professionally, and I wanted to change my life and become a public speaker. And by listening to a speech by Les Brown, I learned about the best kept secret in the world, Toastmasters International. I Googled it and I found there was a club that used to meet 5 minutes from my house. Oh, I was so nervous that first time. My Buddha, who is a member of this club, can testify. I even delivered my first table topics and I won it. How naive I was. And 2 weeks later, just 2 weeks later, I stood in front of the club and I gave my first ever icebreaker speech. And I could not lift off my hand side from my pages as I was shaking the full 4 minutes of my speech. However, one thing I learned from the start is that my fellow Toastmasters were there to support me, to cheer me up and give me some feedback. And most important, to build my confidence. So how come just 3 months later, in February of 2016, I was able to stand in front of the club and the international speech contest and win the best speech, going to my area and win the first prize. And then a full year later, I got the Division D of District 11 first prize. Was I a diamond in the rough? Of course not. It was a lot of hard work with my mentor. When Mike Woodall learned that I wanted to become a public speaker, he reached out to me and explained that Toastmaster had a mentorship program. Avid to get any help and support I could have. I said, yes, Mike, of course I will participate. What do I need to do? Mike spent the following weeks staying with me after the meetings, helped me understand and apply the feedback that I had received during my speeches in the evaluation portion, but also went a little bit further. He listened to what I thought I needed to improve and helped me realize areas of improvement I had never thought about. Not only that, he helped me book speaking engagements with other Toastmasters club in my home city to get familiar speaking to a different audience and environment. Not only did Mike do that for the speaking in Toastmasters, he also educated me on what Toastmaster was at the international level and the leadership learning opportunities I had as secretary and later as president of my club, and how that skill translated to my life outside Toastmasters. However, the most important thing Mike did for me was help me believe I could do it. Paraphrasing Les Brown, sometimes when you have no confidence in yourself, you got to believe in someone else's belief in you. Fellow Toastmasters, my journey in the Toastmasters International Club certainly has helped me to improve and learn how to deliver a message effectively. Even my boss has noticed it and complimented me on that. However, I must tell you that the period of time I work with my mentor, Mike Woodall, is the period I have grown the most in Toastmasters. I must confess to you as well that after a time, Mike took a hiatus of about 2 years from Toastmasters. And then I tanked. It was right at the time where Toastmasters introduced pathways. I wasn't sure I wanted to do anything with it. Quite honest, I was very afraid. But when Mike returned to Toastmasters, not only did he help me embrace it, understand it, and jump on it, I even won a triple crown for 3 levels completed in 1 Toastmaster year. And it's no surprise for me, right when COVID hit, and now I had to deliver speeches looking at a camera on Zoom, thanks to Mike's support. I hit again Division D for District 11 first prize. Fellow Toastmasters, I know all of you are here because you are advanced Toastmasters. Honestly, I'm here because Mike pushed me to grow my level and learn from all of you. However, we know each one of us has an area of opportunity where we can grow. We have members of this club that are very well versed in backgrounds, in virtual tools, in webinars. From all of them, we can learn a little bit. I encourage you, even at this level, to take on the Toastmasters mentorship program inside Online Presenters. Put on the time, be a protege, and I'm sure your speaking abilities will soar and your development in Toastmasters will be unstoppable. Madam Toastmaster.
You're on mute. Marianne.
I wanted to say thank you to Hector for that speech. I thought it was so inspirational. I think you worked really hard to get to where you are today. And I wanted to share a little bit about when you work too hard, you miss out on the nuances of the world and that matter to you most. You can see a beautiful sunset and not even notice it if you're racing to get done with a project at work. Conversely, when you stop working so hard, you have the time to enjoy life's little pleasures, recharge, and be present for the people in your life. So again, not too hard. Our next speaker is another one of our superheroes of the evening, Graham Cairns. He has stepped in to replace a speaker who's not here this evening. And social media, it's often derided as a necessary evil. But as somebody once said, if you use yesterday's tools for today's business, you'll be out of business tomorrow. Looking at how social media impacts us as Toastmasters, Graham Cairns with social media, some observations. Please welcome Graham.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, club members, most welcome visitors. I want a show of hands here. Who here is in some way or another using social media? I really didn't expect to see no hands go up. In fact, all of us use social media of one form or another. Going to do a quick check. We'll talk about the big one first. Facebook users, Twitter, perhaps Snapchat, fewer Snapchat users, TikTok. Yeah, I knew there'd be a couple of TikTokers here. I mean, I'm too old for that, I think. There are a million forms of social media. WeChat. There've got to be at least one or two WeChat users. Yeah. The thing is, social media is nearly ubiquitous. I'm old enough to remember the very earliest forms of electronic social media, that is bulletin boards where we used to chat to each other. But the thing is, we had to dial up and connect to the internet to upload our messages, which wouldn't be downloaded by everybody else for perhaps 12, 14 hours. It was the next time that the FidoNet sent out and sent back its connections, and then we would get the responses. So it would be 24 hours before I'd get a response to my carefully crafted prose, and another 24 hours before the next person could get my response to that response to my carefully, but things have changed. Somebody once said that we have literally the power of the universe, all the knowledge in the world in our mobile phones, and we use it to get into arguments with strangers on the internet and watch cat videos. But the thing is, we use social media all the time. There are, as I've said, as many different forms of social media almost as there are people. And there are disadvantages to social media. Anyone sat on a bus or a train and looked around, and everybody is sitting there looking at their mobile phone or their iPad or their Samsung tablet or whatever their electronic device is, and they are engaged in social media and not with everybody around them. And that's a terrible thing, isn't it? Well, is it? Is it a terrible thing? I'm old enough to remember before social media, when you would get on a bus and everybody was reading a newspaper or reading a book or reading the back of the bus ticket if there was nothing else available, or worst of all, reading the ads that are along the top above people. I used to, in fact, work in selling that style of advertising because people would rather do anything than engage with people around them. Whereas if they're on social media, they are engaging. And we, as Toastmasters, we as business people, we as members of our society need to be engaging with them. We need to reach new audiences. Now, I know 2/3 of 3/4 of diddly squat about TikTok. I mean, I've seen TikTok. I understand the nature of TikTok. I believe that it's sort of like an extended version of Vine. Now, there was a social experiment that had its time, came and went, a bit like MySpace. And Rupert Murdoch, by the way, paid $1 squillion for MySpace just before it went down the tubes and was replaced by Facebook. What's going to replace Facebook? I don't know. I asked before who here uses Facebook. Can I get a show of hands again? Who here uses Facebook? Who here has young people, children, family, friends who are young who don't use Facebook? Increasingly, you'll find that's the issue. Facebook is for us oldies. They've got their own ways of interacting. And we need, as Toastmasters, we need, as business people, we need, as members of our society, to engage with them. So let's talk about how we engage with people via social media. I'm not talking about our private social media pages. I have a Facebook page, for example, where I tell bad jokes and dad jokes, and I steal lots of them, for example, from Jim Barber, who has even worse jokes than me, and I didn't believe it was possible, but he does. So that's a personal thing, but I also put my own political views up there, and I put up links, but I also run a couple of social media pages, one for my Toastmasters division Facebook page. I run a Twitter account for cairnscommunications.com, which is my communications business. And one of the things that I discovered very early as I started to try to use social media is that you can't just be hit and run. You can't post stuff today and not tomorrow. You can't put stuff up for 2-3 weeks and then disappear for a month and then come back, because what happens? Your audience are no longer engaging. They've moved on to somewhere else. My daughter makes a living out of being a social media guru. And she has spreadsheets, and she has databases, and she has every piece of technology that you can imagine to make sure that she doesn't miss any of her goals. You may have noticed the background that is behind me. Let me just show that to you on its own without me appearing. This is, in fact, a book which is for sale for $9.95 at, we've all got them. In this particular case, it's a company called Typo. They're a stationery store, but they sell cheap and chintzy stationery and knickknacks and things. Well, they've got this new book, Staying Social. And the interesting thing is, you'll see that it actually is a chance to write down what you are going to do and when you are going to do it. For example, David, I noticed that you use Twitter. I'm assuming that you have regular posts go out on your Twitter feed. Do you use a scheduling software to do that? Or do you just think, it's Thursday, I should send out a tweet?
To answer out loud, it's usually when I have something to promote, or I go on a lot and just retweet things that other people have done that I think are interesting.
Retweeting, reposting is something that all of us do. If you're going to be using social media effectively, if you are going to try to reach a potential audience, then you need to think about regularly scheduling things. So, for example, this diary behind me would show you that on this day, at this time, this should happen. Now, you don't have to do it yourself. Twitter, for example, has a beautiful option where you can, or TweetDeck, which is what I use as the front for Twitter. It has a beautiful option where I can schedule a post, and I can schedule that same post perhaps at 3 different times in a 24-hour period, because I know that there is going to be an audience in North America who are going to get it at a certain time. There's an audience here in Australia who are going to get it at a different time that appeals to them. There's going to be an audience in India who have a different time again if I wish to reach them. And so if you're going to be doing social media for your business, if you're going to be doing social media for your Toastmasters club, your area, your division, your district, then you need to do this in an organized fashion. If you're going to reach that audience, you need to use the tools that they're using. That means you need to learn about Snapchat. You need to learn about all of the latest variants, some of which I don't. let's get back to that bus again. I spoke earlier about how people are sitting there and they're not engaging with each other. Well, quite frankly, I don't want some random stranger talking to me on the bus when I'm on the way to work. But I do want to stay engaged with the world around me. That's what I use social media for. That's in fact what most people use social media for. That's what we need to use social media for if we wish to remain connected with our potential audience. Madam Toastmaster.
Thanks, Graham. I got a couple of tips there because I'm taking care of the Facebook page for my district. So thank you so much for that speech tonight. Now, I wanted to let everybody know that a lot of us who work really hard or work too hard don't get enough sleep. So sleep is a magical thing. A study done in 2018 by the American Academy of Sleep Medicine found those who reported getting 5 to 6 hours experienced 19% more productivity loss, and those who got less than 5 hours of sleep experienced 29% more productivity loss when compared with those who regularly got 7 to 8 hours. So get some rest, everybody. And at this time, I'm going to ask our timer if both of our speakers qualified.
No,
No.
no. Hector, 6 and 20 seconds, and Graham, 7 minutes and 38 seconds. Only Hector is qualified. We have a winner.
Okay, so no need to do the vote. Hector is our winner tonight. Now we are going to move on to our impromptu speaking, and tonight that is being handled by our club Sergeant at Arms, Ms. Angela Heath. Angela, please take it away.
Okay, everybody. So we know that tonight's theme is working hard. And I'm going to give you some hard table topics. And why am I doing that? I'm doing that because, guys, table topics is so important. Table topics are the most important thing. Listen, table topics are used everywhere, whether we're in business, it doesn't matter. Socially, it doesn't matter. You're going to have to speak extemporaneously. Now, when you are at work, if you ever get a chance to go back to the office, you're going to have coworkers crowded around you, asking you all kinds of questions. You want to be able to present those questions, your answers in a logical fashion, right? And even when you're online with family members or with strangers, you want to be able to come across confidently and succinctly so that people understand what you are saying. Table topics are good when we get a chance to finally go back out to the bars. I can't wait. But we need to be prepared for all of those questions. What do you do? Where do you live? Blah, 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 blah. We will never, ever get away from table topics. So it's a good thing we are with Toastmasters. Blah, 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 blah. Every place we go, people are trying to get us into these conversations, you know, asking us all kinds of things everywhere we go. But for us, it's not too hard. Now, let's get to these table topics. We're talking about working hard today. And we're not going to be working hard like this guy back here. This blacksmith is working really hard. He had to take his shirt off. He's so hot in more ways than one. I think I'm becoming a comedian. Anywho, our first table topics. I'm looking for someone who has no role. Someone who has no role. Let's see, our first one, Deborah Carr. I'll choose you. The first table topic is, tell us something that you do that other people think is so hard, but for you, it's actually easy. Something that you do so well that people think is hard, but it's easy for you. Deborah Carr.
something that I do that's relatively easy for me, but others would look at and go, how does she do it? Well, years ago, without going in depth into my previous life, I had to take a step back and sell my salon and everything else. I had some massive injuries, and I was left after 9 years of living in a brace and arm sling with no hope, to be honest. Even Mayo Clinic and some of the finest doctors in the nation. Anyway, I ended up jumping ship. I drove from Flint, Michigan to Chicago 3 times a week. Initially, I was too sick to do it. I wasn't able to. But within 3 months, I got out of the brace and sling that I was in for 9 years. People were wondering, how in the heck is she doing this? And on top of it, I got feeling so much better after a few years that I was working 3 jobs and in Chicago 2 days a week. And I still, to be honest, don't know how I did it, but I did. And it's just determination. You set your mind to it. You know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and you finally make it. And that's what I did to make it easy for myself. I thought, this is the goal, and this is what I'm doing, and there's no sidetrack at all. And I made it. And others still are trying to figure out how I did it. And secretly, I don't know how I did either, but I did it. So that's it. I hope that helps, because I made it easy for myself.
Wow, Deborah, congratulations. That was powerful. And I do understand, hats off to you, because, just hats off. I'm speechless. All right, hard work, hard work, hard work. You know that old saying that hard work pays off? Actually, sometimes it doesn't. So tell us a time when you worked really, really hard, but it actually did not pay off. And I will give that question to, let me see, No Roll Lou Brown. Can you tell us about one time when hard work did not pay off? Over to you, Lou.
Thank you, Madam Topics Master. When you first said those with no role, I thought, wow, that's probably something those of us with no role should preface our names with to make it easy for the Topics Master. Anyway, what immediately came to mind for me is something I did as a child that I really loved, and that is playing basketball. I practiced so hard. I would literally practice every day, whenever I could, as long as I could, till the wee hours of the night. Back then, you could actually walk home in the wee hours of the night, not be afraid of anything as a kid. And of course, I'm 5'9". I was probably 5'6" back then. And I thought, well, you know what? There's a couple of role models for us short people in the basketball world. Nate Robinson comes to mind, and I'm sure there's some others. But of course, I got as good as I felt I could be. Not that I really expected to go anywhere really far, say, play ball in college, and certainly not the pro. But, as a child, I think that's something that many kids think of and aspire to as, wow, if I really get great in a sport or great in anything I do, I can really pursue that later in life. I still think that's great advice for a kid. But of course, even with kids, a lot of it is experimentation so that they can figure out really what their passion is. But I will say, as far as a sport goes, I played a few, and basketball was just so thrilling to me. So as I got older and I realized, wow, you know what? I'm really not going to be the Larry Bird. That was my role model back in the day. I'm not going to be the next Larry Bird. So I had to resign myself to that fact. And it was pretty disappointing. But I thought, you know what? End of the day, I learned so much from that experience in terms of teamwork, in terms of honing my skills, and just a lot of soft skills that I still appreciate the experience, and I wouldn't change anything. Worked very hard, but not for the reason or the goal that I originally set out to do, but still a great experience nonetheless. Madam Topics Master.
Thank you, thank you. I wish you would have become Larry Bird and been in this Toastmaster class. That would have been cool, right? Okay, no roll Mike. You would be next. You're volunteering. Mike, I'm going to ask you, tell us about something you are avoiding to do right now because you think that it's going to be hard work. What is something that you're avoiding to do right now because you think it's going to mean hard work? Mike, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Madam Topic Master, for that timely question. What I need to do right now that you said that I'm avoiding is kicking off another meeting concept. The things that are in the past 6 months, and pretty much the reason why you haven't seen much of me lately is I created a new meeting platform. And it's been quite successful. I'm averaging 100 to 150 people at meetings that I have twice a month at each meeting. So that's quite successful. I wouldn't have been here at that level without you here at in my Toastmasters club. There's a second meeting I'm kicking off, and I have all these reasons of why I can't get it kicked off. And all of these reasons are I don't have the support, the team set up, and I've got the team so busy doing something with the first meeting but I keep avoiding these, and all of these things as I'm answering the question, all these answers are coming to my head, which is the way I mentor others. And I'm so bad about mentoring myself. I never take the same advice that I give others. But the only obstacles that are in front of me are the obstacles I'm mentally placing in front of me. And that's a truth with everything that we do. And so this topic session was more of a wake-up call to me to go ahead and get the second meeting kicked off and start it tomorrow. So thank you, Madam Topic Master, for that wonderful question.
Well, thank you, Mike. I want to know more about this platform when we get a chance after this. That was really interesting. Let's see, Dr. Tasha, how are you? Here's a question for you. Let's change it up. Marianne wants to talk about working hard. Well, we don't like to work hard. So the opposite of hard work is easy work. Tell us, what does easy work look like to you? Dr. Tasha, what does easy work look like to you?
Okay, so as a mother of three, a wife, a full-time employee, and an aspiring professor, I don't have easy work. So people always ask me, Tosh, what do you do in your downtime? And what is it that you enjoy doing? What do you enjoy doing? So for me, if I were to say something that I enjoy doing, someone else might look at it and say, why do you enjoy doing that? That's hard work. But it comes naturally to me and it's easy to me. And that is doing research. I love doing research, and specifically, I love doing research around veterans and their experiences in this world. So with regard to their ability to find housing, their ability to find jobs, their ability to go back to school, I thoroughly enjoy doing that. And so when I'm trying to do something that's mindless, as someone else might say, they watch television, I sit and read academic journals about veterans and their experiences in this world. And I could sit and do that every day, all day. And at this point, I'm trying to find someone to pay me to do that. So I've been writing grants and doing research around how to get someone to pay me to do that. I've been applying for opportunities within universities to do that work. I've been working within my network to find partners who are already doing research around those topics so that I could partner with them. And I've been trying to form a mastermind group so that I could just make that my everyday, all day consuming fire, as you will. And that's what I do when I'm trying to find something easy or mindless to do.
Thank you, Dr. Tasha. That's how you become a doctor, everybody. You work hard, even though you think it's easy, because you're a doctor. Okay, got that. Tammy, are you willing to take a table topic?
I would be willing.
Okay. Nobody likes hard, we all agree. So the opposite of hard work could also be considered soft work. What in the world is soft work? Tammy, how would you describe soft work? The table is yours.
Thank you very much, Angela. Soft work. Well, there's a debate in the literacy world as to what is a soft skill. Now, as a literacy practitioner, I can tell you that adults come through my door day in and day out, and they need a variety of skills. Some of them need to improve their reading. Some of them need to improve their math. And some of them, they really don't know what they need, but they need to change their lives. Those are the people who benefit the most from soft skills. What is a soft skill? Well, it's a hard piece of labor, let me tell you. Soft skills are things like learning time management, learning self-confidence, taking risks in learning, collaborating with others. These are all soft skills that take hard work. So is it soft work? I'm not entirely sure, but I'm going to give you a personal example from my life of a soft skill that I'm working on. I tend to be a very direct communicator. I came from a direct family where you said what you meant and you meant what you said, and there was no bones about it. The louder you said it, the more clearly you were heard. This has not always served me in life. I've learned that as a woman in particular, I'm expected to have a more nurturing communication style. I'm expected to naturally offer compliments and praise, particularly in email. Is it easy work? No, it's not. It's not easy work. I spend a particularly large portion of my time deciding how many exclamation marks does this sentence really need to show that, no, I'm really excited for you. I resent it a little bit because I think if I was a man, this would not be an expectation in the world. So, soft work. Is it easy? No. Soft skills take hard work. Thank you, Madam Table Topics.
Tammy, I love that. Wow, that was so good. I love how you actually went for it. I was, wondering, should I give anybody this because it sounds a little tricky, but you handled that perfectly. Madam Table Topic Master, do I have time for one more?
Yes.
You said yes? Okay. All right. So I want us to imagine, some things that some of it may be considered hard. I don't know, but I want you to use your imagination. Let's see. Jim Barber, This is a good one for you. Now, imagine it's election time and you have just become the president of your own country. Is that going to be hard work for you or a piece of cake? You've been elected as president of your own country. Do you consider that hard work or is it just a piece of cake? Jim, the floor is yours.
Madam Topics Master, my fellow Toastmasters, and our most welcome guests this evening, morning, afternoon, whatever, tomorrow. That would depend very much on which country it is, because I have a definite leadership style. Now, I haven't taken any of the leadership paths yet that Pathways offers, so I'm not really familiar with the leadership styles that well, but I do know what my particular leadership style is. I am a terrific dictator. Everything goes along very, very smoothly as long as you do what I want you to do, and we'll get along just great. And if it is a country to where everybody goes along with that, and that can happen if, everybody's quite happy, then okay, we're going to get along swimmingly. Everything is going to be just fine. But if it's a country where people actually, I don't know, have opinions that I'm all for opinions as long as they agree with mine. But if they have opinions that go in a different direction, now we're going to have a little bit of a problem because there can only be one boss. And getting people to understand that this is my leadership style and I've got to go with that, that could be a challenge. So it depends very much on which country you're talking about. And actually, I don't think that I should be the president or leader of a country. I would prefer to be the governor of a state. And so the state of confusion would be the one that is the natural fit for me. And when a governorship opens up in the state of confusion, I will be the first nominee. Madam Topics Master.
Love that, love that, love that. I don't think we have time for any more. So what have we learned tonight? Well, we've learned a lot of things. We've learned that there's hard work, there's easy work, there's even something called soft work. And what we've learned that no matter how we think about this hard work, that if we try, we can do it. Even if we, quote unquote, fail, we still did it. Don't let hard work, fellow Toastmasters, hold you back. I've been inspired, especially by Mike. I'm totally inspired because I'm facing some hard work and I honestly don't want to do it. And the reason is because I keep thinking, oh, I did that before and it didn't come out so well. Oh, it was such hard work. But I've been inspired by all of my fellow Toastmasters. And tonight, I'm going to tackle that hard work. So thank you, Marianne. I will work hard tonight, but I won't work too much nor too long. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Okay, timer, have all of our table topics speakers qualified tonight?
No, Marianne, Tammy did 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Everyone is qualified except Tammy.
Okay, Lucas, can you put up the poll for the vote?
Poll is up.
It's in the chat, right?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. All right, and moving on, I wanted to share something with you that our timer for this evening said. Carolina said that she started to work hard when she discovered her passion, technology, and she's never worked as hard as this year. So I believe that it doesn't feel as like such hard work when you are passionate about it, though. You know, there's that expression that says when you do something that you love, you never really work a day in your life. So for me, it was the case in my job. I loved what I did and I enjoyed my work, but I did really work hard. So I'm hoping that you all find things to work on that matter to you and that you're passionate about. Next, we are moving on to the gift of feedback, the evaluation portion of our meeting. And tonight that will be led by our own Mr. Rick Durling, DTM. So Rick, please take it away.
Thank you, Marianne. Hopefully everybody's enjoyed the speeches and the table topics tonight. I certainly did. Lots of hard work goes into making these speeches. So without further ado, let's begin our evaluation portion of the evening. Evaluating Hector Cabrera will be Li-Sing Zhu. Li-Sing, please take the stage.
Thank you, Rick. Fellow Toastmaster, Madam Toastmaster, and Hector. I think you must work very hard in this speech because it's such a great speech. I say it's great in many aspects. First is your energy. Your energy is taking the roof off. You stand there confidently and you speak with passion. Your gesture, including your gesture, your face gesture, and your eye gesture, they are all so focused and so work in coordination and convey your energy, your passion, and your message. And you're very focused. I can see that you enjoy yourself 100%, and you're 100% present. And your speech is instantly, and even your presence on the screen instantly grab my attention. And you have a great message. With all that energy, and you take us to your journey of your Toastmaster, your humble beginning, and how your mentor hold your hand, pushed you to be your best. And you succeeded. You won one award after another, and also you succeeded in your business. Congratulations, by the way. It was a great speech. If I have to pick or need to pick you, then I would say as a English as second language speaker, maybe you're not, I'm not sure, but I can feel that I have the same problem that sometimes we tend to emphasize too much each and every words. So I think I would recommend that you can make your speech more conversational, and some of the part emphasize and some part probably need to be more substituted, and so that the speech have more rhythm. And overall, it's a great speech, and you speak confidently, and your message is great, and your speech is inspirational. I look forward to the next speech. Back to you.
Thank you.
For General Evaluator.
Thank you, Li-Sing. Well done. Let's move forward to our next evaluation. Tonight, Graham will be evaluated by Andrei Smolenko. Andrei, please take the stage.
Thank you very much, Mr. General Evaluator. Most welcome online presenters. And Graham, what a powerful speech on social media. Clearly, you prepared that speech before, even though you had to jump almost at the last minute before the meeting began. It shows that professionalism and highly polished speech in the pocket. Overall, we all use social media. The message was clear. Graham started as an experienced speaker with audience participation. What a participation, what a fun that was. Really engaging, lifting our hands up, and even Ask him question in his speech to one of our online presenters, own members, and waiting for the answer, waiting, taking his time. Graham used a traditional style where he compared the past, brought it to the present, and take it to the future. He used advantages and disadvantages. He even used personal examples, how he uses social media. Even his daughter uses social media. Graham gave really valuable and useful example that we can all take into our pockets and use it right now. Content management system is where we put the posts in advance, and voila, we can relax and enjoy where all social media working magic for us. Graham gave a really powerful message. If you really want to follow your audience, you have to engage with that audience. Given a really good example, back in old days, standing on the bus, reading papers, no one looking. The same is happening right now, and it will be happening. Graham, experienced speaker, powerful speech. However, I do have a few suggestions. What I've noticed, many experienced speakers expect their audience follow their complicated words. For example, like ubiquitous. It's just meaning it's just everywhere. Perhaps you could explain it just in a few details to us as well. That was speech from Motivational Strategies Manual. Yes, motivational on social media. Then perhaps you could just maybe use one of this. Bring online presenters' social media Facebook page into your speech. That would engage more people into it. Perhaps some don't know that we have Facebook page in our club. By the way, subscribe, you will not regret it. Overall, there is the question as well left to me. What if I just don't like social media? I don't want to use it. What, am I stuck? No, you're not. You can use someone else or pay someone else to do this job for you. Overall, powerful speech, few little tweaks, and yes, engage, learn, or pay someone else. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Andre. Well done again. I will now ask our timer for a report on our evaluators.
Listen, 2 minutes and 48 seconds, and Andre, 3 minutes and 20 seconds, both qualified.
Excellent, thank you. And I see that our vote counter has posted a link in the chat, so everybody can begin voting now. In the meantime, let's move forward with our reports on the meeting. I will call on our O'Connor, Evelyn Young, to give us a report. Please welcome Evelyn Young.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we have a total of 20 speakers ranging from SAA to the last evaluator. And thanks so much for working so hard. So for working hard to avoid failures so that I don't have to work too hard as an counter. I noticed that I mentioned earlier today that using fillers in a speech is like adding legs to a snake. And I noticed there are 3 snakes appearing in our meetings today. 2 of them use filler words such as or and another one used the phrase you know pretty often in the speech. However, over the course of the meeting, I noticed that what is more important than counting is to observe how advanced speakers avoid filler words, which I concluded into what I call 3S rules. The first S is to slow down. For example, Marianne, when she is looking at her note, she will slow down and say, I'd like to introduce the first speaker of the day. And this really helps us to avoid fillers. The second S is silence. For example, Graham speaks pretty fast throughout his speech, but in the middle of his speech, there was one sentence in which he slows down and pauses a little bit. He said, it is a chance to write down what you're going to do. And actually, when he pauses, when he used silence, I was more willing to know what he's going to say next. And then it gives me some time to recall his message earlier. So silence is also a powerful tool to avoid fillers. And last but not least, as a non-native speakers, I think the third S is stop comparing. Imagine if I get a chance to speak after Jim Barber, who delivers perfect speech, very engaging, very captivating, I might feel sort of peer pressure. But I believe if I start speaking, telling myself that I can screw up this speech, I can make mistakes, I can accept my imperfection, then there is a bigger chance for me to perform better and to avoid more filler words. Back to Toastmaster.
Thank you, Irvlin. And I will now call on our grammarian, Marty Sandler. And Marty, just a reminder, reports are supposed to be a minute or so, all right?
That's fine with me because I have very little to report. This is a very, very literate group of people. And quite frankly, I didn't find anything that I regarded as ungrammatical or not fit or anything of the sort. If I were a professor grading the group, I would give you an A++. So that's it. Back to you.
Thank you, Marty. I appreciate your report. And now it's time for David Carr to tell us just exactly what he saw all of us doing in our tiny little squares. David, take the stage, please.
Yeah, if I knew I was going to critique everybody's visual presentation, maybe I would have upgraded from the t-shirt I've been wearing all day and the dark background behind me. But I did want to give Hector kudos for taking good advantage of standing up and letting us see his whole body and his hand gestures. He used it very effectively. Graham, I wrote down, what's that background doing there? He's never going to explain that, is he? And then he explained it. So it came into focus. I thought at first that it was going to be an explanation of how you did social media back in those telnet days of having to look up maybe in a book what people's address was. Angela made very interesting use of an animated background as she was presenting the theme of table topics, really just in her opening presentation. And Angela, I'd love to know, was that the Zoom PowerPoint in the background effect, or did you use some other technique? Could you tell us
It was
briefly?
just simple. Yeah, it was just simple PowerPoint.
Okay, all right. Well, it was well done and effective and just added interest and variety. Dr. Tasha, I noticed you're using your phone and you're in the portrait mode. So actually that makes you cool with the kids in town, because that's how the kids do their videos, is standing up, assuming that everybody else is also on their phone. But a lot of us are on our PCs. I tend to think that if you turn the camera sideways so that you get the landscape mode, that makes for better video. Just a thought. And I mentioned also that the most powerful special effect, visual effect that you can use is often your face. And I thought Tammy was an excellent example of that. She could lean in, and with an arched eyebrow, she can really make an impact. And she's using the camera well, she's using the framing well, good special effects. I don't know if I like that so much, but other than that, very good. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, David. Excellent report. And now let's hear from our chat monitor, April Elise.
Thank you, General Evaluator. The chat this afternoon was, or this morning, wherever you're at, was fairly active during today's meeting. Toastmaster, our General Evaluator, Rick Darling, shared, I thought was pretty funny, chat during today's meeting that he's retired, that he works harder now. And during his retirement, he works harder than he did before. Thought that was pretty hilarious. The chat was used today to educate. There was a Celsius to Fahrenheit formula that was shared along with the conversion. The chat was used to welcome our guests. It was used for encouragement and to congratulate our prepared speakers. It was also used for engagement. There were some comments regarding like social media, like Facebook, in response to Toastmaster Graham's speech, as well as comments related to our table topics for today. So overall, it was very engaging. So back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, April. And I will give a brief report on how I think the meeting went. I think we've already had a good deal of commentary about everybody jumping in to keep things moving, and I commend everybody. So this round of applause is for everybody who jumped in at the last minute. Well done, everyone. I know that we had a few technical issues here and there, but we overcame them as a group and as a team, and that definitely demonstrates exactly what online presenters is all about. Now, I hope that at this point that I can call on our vote counter to present the results of our voting. Lucas, are you ready for that?
Yes, I am. I don't quite know the policy if there is a tie, so I will say what the tie was about and we'll move on from there. For Best Evaluator, we have a tie between Lisa and Zhu and Andrei Samolenko. So you both get the prize. Congratulations. Our best table topic speaker tonight is Jim Barber. And our best speaker for today's meeting is Hector Cabrera.
Awesome. Thank you, Lucas, for your report, and congratulations to all of our winners. Another round of applause for them, please. Now it's my turn, I think, to hand it back to Marianne. Or do I hand it off to the president?
No, that's terrific. Thank you so much, Rick. I had a pleasure being the Toastmaster for the evening, so thank you for this wonderful opportunity. And I just want to give you one more little thing to think about working hard. Yes, it does deprive you of time with family and friends, but you're also robbing yourself of opportunities to take on projects that will benefit you, your career in the long run. Burnout is real, so your body's need for sleep and self-care is important. Back to you, Mr. President, Lou.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. Another great meeting, folks. We had our Toastmaster of the day, Marianne, Grady, very professional as always, and stuck to the time frame, which can be challenging. Sergeant at Arms Angela Heath, wonderful topics. Enjoyed that very much. All of our evaluators and speakers did a wonderful job, and of course, all of our role helpers as well. I mentioned early on when I did my introduction how this is my favorite club, and quite frankly, that's why we run such a tight ship and everyone is so professional. As Marty said, such an advanced group of people. I realize that I kind of act as a mentor in my other clubs because they need a lot of work. However, again, don't tell them I said that. Okay, we're gonna close in a little bit, but before we do, we have about 3 minutes. Would love to hear from our guests. Tammy, could you share with us what you gained from our meeting today?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I really appreciated your tightly run ship. I apologize for being a little bit late. I think it's wonderful that this size of group has enough people to fill the roles as well as participate fully. I think that's a really great advantage that you have, especially in an advanced club. So congratulations on that. You guys seem to handle the technology very well. It's a good energy in the room, and you gave the guests lots of opportunities to participate. Thank you very much. Back to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Nischuk. Did I pronounce your name correctly? Awesome.
Close
Thank
enough.
you again. Okay, feel free to correct me. I always want to get folks' names right. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. And our returning guest, Petra, I believe this is your third time. Please share with us what you gained from this meeting this time. Hopefully something new from the prior two.
Oh, I wouldn't remember my comments in the last 3 meetings, and you want something new.
If possible.
Your club is not the only club I have attended. So I think just leave that alone, okay? Just my comment about this meeting. That would be fair to everyone. I think I agree with other people's comments about your club is advanced. You're living up to your name, and everyone has been professional in performing your duty. And what stand out from this meeting for me is Jim. And Jim would like to be a president of a state of confusion. So do I. I love that. And I'm really excited to see David Carr. He's my idol. And I didn't see him, I don't know, maybe in some of my previous attending your meeting. And I've been wanting to see the face of someone who is such a genius, who designed the information, your message design, your website and your technology, and your very careful thinking to offer information to people like me who is not a member yet. And I'm so glad to meet Marianne at this meeting, because I've been writing a lot to you and I don't know what happened to you. And now I know that you're fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Petra. Yes, and I know we've been communicating as well, so we will certainly get everything up to speed for you in terms of your interest. And you know what, I do see, we mentioned about the technology. I believe, based on what I've heard, we have a presentation in the making with Angela's use of PowerPoint as a background. That looks really cool. Okay, with that, we will officially close the meeting. Please stop the recording. However, members, please hang around